Call Allah Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Kakadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Well, I am not a member, however, I've entered into their labors. Peace and mercy to the sincere brothers and sisters doing this, wherever you are, whatever your lot may be. And you see the title, EU, okay, which is a part of the, which was the, in old Rome, okay, before before the beast who had the wound that was healed, which is America. Before that fatal wound, EU was the makeup of it, right? NATO and EU make the beast system, while the whore is America or Babylon. Okay, so as you are going to see, one, the least of the flock has certainly drawn them out, and two, how the beast shall hate the whore and burn her with fire. We're starting to see a little bit on how this unfolding of Revelation 17, Revelation 17 is going to come about. So before we go read, you see the title here, before we skim over it, because this isn't going to be very long. This is just something for, cover a little news article. Whenever something pops that jumps out at me, I try to get it. Okay, so this is Revelation 17. And we're looking at I think I'm gonna start at the top, and then we'll skim it. All right, and there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Waters meaning people, I believe. But we're gonna get there. Okay, where you get hydro. All right. Waters, rivers, pools of the deluge. Okay, so, but it's people. Waters represent people. Okay. All right, with whom the kings of the earth, as you see, most people everywhere you go, you can go anywhere and find a damn McDonald's. With whom, or some sort of westernized culture, right? With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Right? You're seeing that people are realizing they laid down with this whore, and now they burning and they itching, and they got some unsightly scars, right? Some boils or whatever. Okay, the one was arrayed, Mystery Babylon, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, and especially here because every wicked kingdom, or every kingdom, especially throughout, if you read through the Assyrian, Babylonian, Medes, Medo-Persian Empire, Greco-Roman Empire, all of that, all of the deities that are the patron saints of whatever civilization at whatever point in time, you can find it right here in Babylon. Okay, drunk with the blood of the saints. The point's here somewhere. Bear with it. We're going to get it. 7 kings have fallen. Okay, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, right? That's it. If you need, do Revelation 17, GMS Revelation 17 breakdown. Okay. Also, you can read through Daniel 7. And it also gives you a breakdown of the nations. But yeah, if you type that in, you're going to find what you're going to find. Or find what you need to find. And piece that together. Do your research, do your work. Okay. These have one mind, and shall get the power strength into the beast. 16 is the point here. All right. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. Here's the point. And shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat. What the hell? Oh, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. All right. For God had put in her heart to fulfill His will. And what is His will, right? That Babylon be a perpetual going up in smoke perpetually, home for unclean and hateful birds, right? Nobody will inhabit this place. It will be uninhabitable, and it will serve as a monument, as an altar, as a basically a burnt offering, which is a monument to what happens when nations try to be like Sodom and Gomorrah, right? That's what it says in Peter. That same fire, except this one is of nuclear origin. All right. What did I say? So we read that. We read 17 and 16. That was the point. That's what we needed. Okay. All right. So let's move on to our let me close this door. Hold on. Okay. My dog will come in here and just start snoring loud for no reason. EU can no longer consider U.S. an ally. All right. He's effectively sidelined the bloc on the proposed Ukraine peace plan. All right. So basically, without keeping them in mind, they propose an idea of a peace plan that pretty much can bankrupt or leave EU struggling. And those of you that have served, if you've been to a base where a multinational base or a NATO base, all right, there are multiple countries there, and it's always the same thing, that the U.S. will be first at the expense of these other nations. These other nations have to bear the brunt. And I knew, even before being in the truth, I knew that something like that was not sustainable, and we're seeing it. All right, we're watching this all play out. Okay, and it says it can no longer consider it an ally. All right, after Washington submitted a draft peace plan directly to Kiev, sideline of the block. So that proud look. I don't know we know who encouraged that to happen, because I'm assuming. All right, these devils have to shift their plans, so they're just who knows, man? Who knows? Well, only time will tell. But that's what we need. Daniel 7 before we continue. Because you can liken this here, it's Daniel 7 and 20, you can liken this here, right, unto DJT right now. That's him with the look that is more stout than his fellows. We're likening it unto a man at this point. Daniel 7 and 20, and the 10 horns that were in his head, and the others which came up before him, whom three fell. Okay, and again, you can do Daniel 7 GMS breakdown. Even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. Okay, and then a single man, DJT here, is a representation of this here, because you can see that pride, that Edom, that pride, he is oozing with it. All right. But what you also see here is a huge divide. Okay, you have Egyptian against Egyptian. The MAGA base is divided. Okay, they're divided on left and right anyway. These different Edomite, or these countries who represent different tribes of they are divided. Okay, and did not Yahushua say that he came to send that sword of division, and it was all the way down from father and son, right, to set at variance. So everything's being split up. Okay, and we'll get that, because we're gonna get the actual context of it as well, which I think I should just get it now, because I'm gonna forget if I don't. Matthew 10 and 34. Come on now, my mouse is tripping. There we go. Okay, straight to the point here. Think not that I am come to send peace on the earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. All right, and he that taketh not his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it. Now, the point of that was to understand this truth and to proclaim it and to live it. and that would set households at variance, but also, I mean, on a bigger scale, proclaiming this truth and believing in it means that there are tenets that go against the status quo, that go against the general populace, belief of, we'll be okay. All right, this is just a storm that we have to weather for the next 2.5 years or however long he's in office, and then they're gonna want to go back to the same back and forth ping pong. The left stinks up the field, here comes the right. The right stinks up the field, here comes the left. And they just do this alley-oop to each other. All the while, they are pushing forward ever so gently into a desired outcome, leaving the people in a technological slavery. Um, but I just grabbed this scripture here because it talks about division, and understanding the truth will bring that. Because as you understand that the inevitable end of Babylon, most people cannot, will not, shan't not, they won't accept it. They cannot accept it, and that's fine. You don't have to. The incredulity does not stop anything. Giving this till Thursday to respond. All right, Western European nations, blindsided by the plan, have rejected any agreement that would cross Kiev's proclaimed red lines, including its bid to join in NATO and the question of territorial concessions. All right, in a series of posts, Borrell said the president has exposed what he called the failure of the EU's appeasement strategy. Okay, so towards the U.S. president arguing that the bloc's concessions on military spending, tariffs, and energy supplies have achieved nothing. Trump's United States can no longer be considered an ally of Europe, which is not even consulted on matters affecting its own security. So, hey man, that's that hasty nature of E, right? Going back to the book of Genesis, sold his birthright and then tried to backdoor his brother to get, because he wanted the best of both worlds, but he had no patience. He was hasty, and he did not take anything serious. All he knew was right then, right now. How we gonna get this going? All right, as you can see, that's that microwave spirit of E. All right, it is in our people. It is in our people heavily. Okay. There's the tweet. There's the quote. The initial plan will reportedly require Ukraine to stay out of NATO, relinquish the part of the new Russian region in Donbass still under its control. All right, freeze the front line and cap the size of its army at 600,000. The plan would also provide sanction relief to Russia. European leaders pushed back, however, and reportedly sought to essentially rewrite the plan. The Telegraph. I can't read. Does rewrite the plan, period. The Telegraph and Reuters later published details of an alternative proposal drawn up by the UK, France, Germany that would entail the fighting being halted at the line of contacts. All right. Territorial discussion pushed to a later stage, and a NATO-style U.S. security guarantee given to Kyiv. So basically, ain't nobody worried about the EU when it comes to Babylon the Great. All right, and they are really living up to America first, even at the behest of an ally, or allies with an S. Okay, so we got the sword of division here, and we're gonna get a couple scriptures on the divide too, man. One of the most popular being 2nd Esdras 13, where it talks about one realm against another, right? One city against another. Everybody's divided. I say 2nd Esdras. And it simply will not just be difference of opinion, right? That is what this truth does. It divides, cutting asunder. Right, we're gonna scroll down because this one's kind of long. So I can't skim that one. I know it's around the 30s. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth. So we're starting at 29. He shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth, and one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. And at that time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen, which I showed thee before, and then shall my son be declared, with whom thou sawest as a man ascending, right? So that was the previous chapter where the angel, I believe it's Gabriel or Uriel, I don't remember which one, is having this with Esdras or Ezra. And Ezra saw a man towering, waxing hot, taller than the rest, and he was putting the crowns on them, right? And he was telling them this was those that stood so stiffly for the name. Okay, so as you can directly link with how much divide is happening with how soon the return of Yahushua is. Not only that, you have the mandatory implementation of the MOTB, but in conjunction, the divide leads to the third woe. When sides cannot agree, they battle it out. Where else? A kingdom divided. Alright. So we'll do Matthew 12 and 25. And then Matthew 20. Because we got kingdom against kingdom as well. So let's get Matthew 12 real quick. Alright. So if you don't have the back or the context of this, please read it on your own. But the point here is strictly about a kingdom being divided, right? Because the Pharisees, the Lord healed, somebody that was possessed, and they said he cast out devils by Beelzebub. So basically, he's using the power of Satan to directly be in contrast or oppose the power of Satan, basically. All right, so 24 here, but when the Pharisees heard it, they said, this fellow does not cast out devils by Beelzebub, the prince, doth not cast out devils, but by Beelzebub, the prince of devils. And Yahushua knew their thoughts, and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. And there are so many times where you read with the end of E, and it's always talking about them being a desolation. It's always that. Always, always, always. Their future in prophecy is tied to complete and utter desolation, utter annihilation. All right. I'm trying to remember exactly where. I thought I had notes on that as well, because there's a couple of other scriptures that we can get. Bear with me for a second. Okay, if I can find them later, I will. Oh, here it is. So Joel 3 and 19. All right, Isaiah 13 and 19. Jeremiah 51 and 29. Also Jeremiah 50, 23. And then you have Jeremiah 50 and 40. Isaiah 47 and 1. Okay, and then we'll go back at Jeremiah 49 and 17, and it's usually linking Esau to Babylon, and it's always about when it talks about Egypt shall be a desolation, and every time it's always desolation. So, and you see the Lord spoke of a divide, and how we got the previous scripture where it talks about that the beast shall hate the whore and burn up with fire. So you're seeing it all come together. All right, and it comes together beautifully as always. What did I say? Because it was Matthew 12, and then we also need Matthew 24. Which is also in Luke chapter 21. It's a retelling. Matthew 24 and verse 7, straight to the point here. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places, and we are seeing these happen. Okay, more and more, which these things have happened always, but not on the level that they are happening now, in conjunction with other prophecies, and that is the important thing to remember, because you always have people that will say, "Hey, this shit been happening." Yeah, maybe so, but not in the capacity that it is happening now. And in our final one we'll get here. I think we already. Oh, because I did mention Egyptian against Egyptian. Okay, and that is here locally because spiritually the Egyptian. Um, okay, in this context here would be through Babylon the Great and its citizens, or the daughter of Babylon, I should say, and its citizens. But there is a divide. There is a single nation, and they are all divided on many different ways, politically, ideologically. Um, well, I guess political falls under foreign policy. Okay, and they are divided on whether they should support a gutter rat who siphons every piece of life, land, and money from a nation before they move on to their next host. They are parasites. So they are divided about supporting them as well. They are divided about who the actual people are of the Bible. All right, yeah. So everything, there is the unity that they once feigned, that they were able to pretend to have, is no longer. Okay, straight to the point here with Isaiah 19:2, and that will be the video. And I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. All right, spirit of Egypt shall fall in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to their idols, which they are, and their charmers stand now with thine enchantments, right? And to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. But she can't be healed. She won't be healed. No balm you can take is going to heal her. So, with that being said, I pray truly that you were edified. Shalom.